Topping the news today is a day of remembrance. That statement coming this afternoon from the nation's leader as the country pauses to remember all persons who lost their lives due to destruction and ravage of Hurricane Dorian 1 year ago. Hurricane Dorian was the strongest storm to ever hit the Bahamas, leaving behind $3.4 billion in losses and damage. The Prime Minister says today the country continues to pray for the souls lost and for those who are still grieving the loss of loved ones.
Bahamians and residents suffered life-changing injuries and mental trauma from what they endured. On behalf of myself and my wife Patricia and the government and people of our country, I again offer condolences and prayers to all who lost a loved one during Hurricane Dorian. All of their lives were important. Each one of our brothers and sisters who died was a special person in their families and communities. I ask all Bahamians to keep praying for their families.
The nation's leader recalling the devastation heaped on by Dorian as the storm destroyed important infrastructure that took decades to build.
It will take time to rebuild this vital infrastructure, including the rebuilding of the utility infrastructure in Central Abaco. Our work to restore Abaco and Grand Bahama has been constant in partnership with the residents of the various communities and our international partners. We have made some progress, but not enough. There is still so much more to do.
The nation's chief adding that after witnessing the damage left behind in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, the government made the decision to welcome the largest group of international partners in Bahamian history in response to the natural disaster, noting that it was the best way to get help to Bahamians in the quickest possible time.
Today, I once again thank all the Bahamians and Bahamian groups, along with the international agencies, NGOs, and volunteers who helped in the immediate aftermath of the disaster and who are still working at restoration. Your dedication and tireless work with the government has been a blessing. I pay special tribute and offer gratitude to the many individuals and businesses, domestic and international, who are helping to slowly rebuild the communities devastated by this monster hurricane.
Today marks 1 year since Category 5 Hurricane Dorian made its way through Abaco, cutting a path of death and destruction and transforming a once thriving economy into a virtual ghost town. Today, the residents of Abaco assemble for a service of Thanksgiving to remember those who were lost and to give thanks for those who survived. Here's our Megan Shepard.
September 1st, 2019, a day that the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will never forget. The day that Hurricane Dorian swept through the island of Abaco. For many, they call it historic. For others, indeed, it was traumatic. But there is no doubt that generations of Abaconians will never forget that day. 1 year later, Abaconians paused to reflect on that deadly storm, but more important, to give God thanks for the way forward. It was a day of praise and worship, a time to remember those that perished in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, a time for survivors to reflect and give God thanks, and a time for Abaconians to look forward for a brighter future. The Abaco Christian Council coming together Tuesday morning to host a service of memoriam and thanksgiving. Pastor Marvin Mills opening the service with a word of encouragement.
I come by to tell somebody that it's going to be all right. You can only believe that when you believe in the God in whom you serve. You can only believe that when you trust or trusting in the God you serve.
Pastor Silbert Mills passionately recalling the events of September 1st, 2019, that he says left the island that he loves resembling a war zone. However, Mills says he was immediately convinced that this island must be rebuilt, and rebuilt even better, as he doesn't see destruction, but rather he sees opportunity for a brand new Abaco.
12 months later, ladies and gentlemen, we look better. The storm came to break us, not to take us. Hashtag Abaco Strong. This storm came to knock us down, not to knock us out. Hashtag Abaco Strong. We are pleased with the help, but we need more help. Yes, more help is really needed. Over 600 homeowners received help in Abaco from the Disaster Reconstruction Authority Board. Abaco, 802 of you have been approved by the DRA for assistance. The DRA has successfully cleaned up more than 98% of all of the debris within our communities and surrounding areas.
Member of Parliament for North Abaco, the Honourable Dorian says he was determined to be on the island today to reflect and worship with residents, noting that this process is always his top priority. The minister says that as a Christian nation, now is the time to practice what we preach and walk by faith.
Keep the faith. Stay strong. Continue to rely on each other. That's what brought us through on the 1st of September. We relied on each other. We didn't ask any color, any race. We didn't ask where you come from when you came into the government complex. We said, open the doors and let all come in. Pray for your government, because despite being in the aftermath of Dorian, here we are now fighting with COVID. 50% of the Bahamian people unemployed. Have to have government assistance. That means that pull a tug on what the government wanted to do. Yes. But we got to find it, eh? And you got to pray that we find it. And so I ask that you pray for your government, pray for one another, and I say this to you again as I take my seat. Look out for your brother and your sister. We went through a lot of trauma. I said, I am so proud of my people who have built themselves up from the ground where we found ourselves after Dorian with nothing, and look at where we are now. We did it. With a lot of help from the international community, with a lot of help from our friends. God sent the help to us.
Chief Counselor for the Central Abaco District, George Cornish, commending all first responders and utility companies that helped to bring a sense of normalcy back to the island. He says he was pleased to see the way that Abaconians pulled together immediately after the monster storm.
Many have lost loved ones, businesses, homes, jobs, but we have not lost faith and hope. After the storm, there was one race, no color, no class. We came together to help one another. Amen. We stood by each other. We sheltered each other. And we comforted each other. This is the attitude that we need to continue in our communities. Amen. Let us shoulder each other's burden, and let us be our brother's keeper. Although Abaco was physically destroyed, the spirit of the people of Abaco was stronger than ever before.
President of the Abaco Christian Council, Pastor Egbert Tinker, delivering the sermon to residents. He reminded the congregation that God is still on the throne, that you must praise Him in the good times and in the bad times, and to be prepared for the blessings to come.
You got to be around for the after this. Listen to me. Don't go get all excited and get yourself on. This thing's still taking people out. But you better have your own sound mind. Listen to me. He promised to keep us in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on Him. I don't care what the devil tells me. It's going to get better. I don't care how bad it look. Long as God is alive and God is on the throne, I challenge you today, Abaco. I challenge you to Commonwealth of the Bahamas to be around for the after this. because it's coming. I see a new day.
Residents then made their way to Arawak Dock, where they laid flowers in the water in remembrance of those that died during Hurricane Dorian. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Thanks so much for that story, Megan. And this programming note, tune into ZNS TV channel 211 tonight at 8 p.m. for a documentary on Hurricane Dorian in the Abacos. The one-hour documentary was produced by reporter Megan Shepard and cameraman Gershon Swain. That's tonight at 8 p.m. on ZNS TV. Tomorrow, September 2nd, is the anniversary of Dorian's deadly assault on Grand Bahama. A special wreath-laying ceremony is planned for 3 locations and communities in the east that were devastated by the storm. This afternoon, Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, reflected on the difficulties caused by the storm.
It has been 1 year since Hurricane Dorian. Much has been lost, but also much has been gained. We remember those who we lost, and we remember their families. There are many lessons that we have learned. We have become stronger as a result of Hurricane Dorian. In fact, we believe that as a result of Hurricane Dorian, it has actually assisted us and provided us with the resilience and the strength for us to continue to get through COVID-19.
Minister Thompson says he is grateful for the work of residents who continue to press on even in the face of challenges. He says Grand Bahamians must be applauded for their resilience.
I commend all of the essential workers who worked during the hurricane. We remember them and we applaud them for the tremendous work that they did. We also applaud the Grand Bahamians businesses, those who have fought to come back and those who have successfully come back. We commend them. And we commend all Grand Bahamians who have gone through this storm and who have made it through this storm and who have even come out better after the storm. We are a strong and resilient people. And this 1 year, we mark it, and we cannot forget what we have gone through, and we cannot forget those who we have lost, and we cannot forget the lessons that we have learned as a result of this storm.
The Red Cross is an organization that many depend on in the time of trouble. Ever since the passage of Monster Storm Dorian, the Red Cross has been responding to the needs of those impacted by the storm. In this report, Jay Philippe tells us the nonprofit organization is trying its best to meet the demands of the Grand Bahama community.
It's been 1 year since Category 5 Hurricane Dorian cut a destructive path across Abaco and Grand Bahama. It is recorded as the most powerful and most destructive disaster to hit the northern Bahamas. The storm caused extreme flooding and damage with widespread power outages. Thousands of people are still coping with the effects 1 year later. As it relates to assistance, the Grand Bahama Red Cross has been one of the NGOs that continues to serve Grand Bahamians on a day-to-day basis. Red Cross Administrator Stephanie Barr.
Last year, September, up to now, and still trying to get people back into their homes and as much as we can. We can't do everybody, but we're going to do as much as we possibly can with the donations that we have from our international partners and all those even here locally, all donations that we would have gotten here. But it's been a struggle, because everybody can't get, and it's been, but thank God we were still able to assist some persons and bringing them out of Dorian.
Barr says food and tarps are some of the most common demands for residents on Grand Bahama.
We had to give kits, to assist them. We had hygiene kits. We had toolkits for them to build or rebuild, to start to rebuild their homes, So food and beds and stuff now. We're now at bed, trying to assist those persons with, beds if we can, as many as we can help.
She also acknowledges that the Red Cross has been overwhelmed with challenges in getting necessary assistance for storm victims, and now with COVID-19.
Both storms, Dorian and COVID, they have been really great, and they're still donating to keep because they realize the work that we do out there, it speaks for itself. And so they have really been stepping up to the plate and still donating as they've always done.
However, Chairman of the Bahamas Red Cross Grand Bahama, Rinaldi Forbes, says response from residents have been great, even with the lack of resources at times.
We help persons with rental, and we're able to help 238 persons with rental, and that for 6 months. And we also did financial assistance. Financial assistance for the Bahamas, we help, I think the Red Cross was able to give $10 million towards financial assistance. And then we had Livelihood. Livelihood is a program that we, along with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the Bahamas government, we had another program we put in place. And then there are repairs. We're helping persons with minimum repairs to their home. So along with DRA, Red Cross is partnering to also, and other NGOs are there. So we're trying to help with repairs.
Forbes also says that they have been helping individuals and communities to heal the psychological wounds and to rebuild social structures.
Trying to talk, to try to get people to bring these things to say, okay then, it's not the end of the world. It may look dismal, but at the same time, hold on and just try to get it up, because talking is the first step in trying to release whatever's inside. So our psychosocial support, along with social service and whoever does this, the PHA, whoever does this, I think it's a great program that I'm glad that it's there.
The Grand Bahama Red Cross continues to provide assistance for residents and help to reshape the lives of those that have been impacted. I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Jay. The majority of storm victims who perished during Hurricane Dorian lived in High Rock, East Grand Bahama. A street on the waterfront called Emmanuel Way was the address for the vast number of victims in that small community. While many believe the victims were swept away by storm surge. Today we visited Emmanuel Way, where we found one resident still living in that storm-ravaged community. High Rock resident Michelle Sayre says Hurricane Dorian is a storm that she will never forget. During the major storm, Sayre was at work, but left her nephew and brother-in-law at home. When she returned home after the storm, she walked through shoulder-height water, only to learn that there was nothing left in her home. Sayre says although it has been 1 year since the storm, things are still tough, but she does what she can to survive.
I have a mattress. I have it on some rock sheet, and I'm comfortable. There I get my kitchen set up with my little stove, and I work around it. And I wash my dishes over that area. I try to be as comfortable as I can get.
She says she and her brother did what they could to repair the home.
County Rotary Club came in and gave us a hand with the roof and the pattern off in the house. And I thank God for them in a special way, because it ain't happening with me right now.
She has not worked since April, which she says is a challenge.
Whatever little that I had, I try to pack, to make sure I keep food that I can have to eat and so forth like that.
Sarah says many on her street, some who were just like family, lost their lives during the storm. And 1 year later, the East End community that she once knew is not the same.
It's a lonely feeling. You used to being around people and you're going to go this way or go that way. You can't right now, so just stay put, just stay home. Because it feel lost. It feel lost. And I'm the only person that you can see right in this area, go back that way. I'm the only person, yeah.
But the High Rock resident says overall she is optimistic about the future. But it is her hope that everyone can come together as one.
The way we grow up, we play with each other. We can go to anybody's house. When you leave, they can give you something, but now, today, everybody's for themselves. They don't check for people in that way. But if some of the older people can go back to the days where they were brought up and try to teach the younger folks how to love and how to share, how to get along, it'll be a better world.